Good morning. Welcome back to the Ozarks and another episode of Back to the Past. I am Blair. I am going to go through a series of episodes. It's probably going to take quite some time actually and go through a number of episodes in building this carport. This carport wasn't originally intended. I hadn't even thought about it until just recently after having moved my grandmother's car here and really needing a place to be able to park the truck out of storm weather, and it's in a convenient area. So anyway, I decided on this to be here. Now, ages ago, I didn't plan on this being here, so the sewer line that I put in actually runs right beside the edge of it, and I would have loved to have shifted the whole works over that direction another at least several feet, but yeah, that didn't work out, so I've got to live with what I've got. Anyway, I'll be right back and we'll get started. Where I'm standing here will be approximately the front corner of the building, maybe right here. Back corner will be over there. You can probably already see at least one of the piers that's the front on the other side. Now, this maple tree, I had originally intended to keep there. It's a decent tree, but it is sort of adding competition to another maple tree that is farther back, and that's actually a much nicer maple tree, probably the healthiest and best conditioned one that I've got on the entire property now. It will eventually, I hope, replace the majestic one out in front that is kind of dying of old age. So this one is going to end up coming down. As I said before, this process is going to take for a while, so I think today's episode I'm just going to talk about layout and being able to lay out these other three piers so that everything ends up square and looking nice in the end. And now I have those piers on that side that I have to measure and lay out everything off of. So we'll get started on that. You can probably already hear the wind blowing. It's been picking up all morning. We are supposed to have a giant storm that moves in overnight into tomorrow and get quite a bit of rain out of it. So I will plan on opening up and pouring the concrete piers, maybe even next week. It's going to have to dry up. I sure don't want to open something up and then have a bunch of mud in it to have to deal with later. Okay, now when I had a career, I spent a lot of years doing layout work in which I worked with feet and hundredths of feet rather than feet and inches. So that's really the easiest way to be able to do layout. So what I have done is to measure between the front of the building and the back of the building, center to center of the pier, and that is 19 foot 5 5/8 inches, which is 19.47 feet. Now, roughly 1/8 of an inch is 100th of a foot, so you can kind of follow along. So what I'm going to do is to lay out approximately where the two corners are on that north side of this building. And what I will do is I want a building that's approximately square, and that 19.47 might sound like kind of a strange number, but actually what I'm shooting for is an outside to outside dimension of 20 feet, and I'm using 6 by 6 posts, so it makes a little more sense when you see it in that respect. So I will go that 19.47 feet in that direction, strike an arc, then I'll come back and I'll figure the diagonal distance from this back corner to there, and that should give me pretty close to where that corner is. Then I can come the 19.47 that way and 19.47 from this and come up with that corner. What I will end up doing then is setting batter boards behind that. Now, batter boards are kind of an ancient system, but boy, they work really well and you get a lot of accuracy from them. So I always thought that if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So that's what I'll be doing, and that's what we'll kind of go through when we do this today. Okay, so that's 19.5 feet. I'll do the same thing on this back side. Now I need to grab the calculator and see what this diagonal distance will be. Be right back. Okay, the thing that makes a square building easy to lay out is that all you have to do to get your diagonal distance is to take the length of one of the sides and multiply times the square root of 2, which is 1.414. Let's do that and see what this diagonal distance is going to be. So 19.47 times 1.414 equals 27.53. So in inches, that would be 27 feet 6 3/8 inches. So I'll go ahead and strike it at about 27 foot 6 inches, and that will get us in the ballpark. What I can do then is to measure between the two of them and see if they are pretty close to 19 foot 6. And if they are, that'll be close enough for me to be able to set up batter boards behind them and then get something a lot more exact. Okay, let me get out the shorter tape measure and we'll see if we're fairly close to 19 foot 6 inches between them. Okay, from intersection to intersection I'm reading 19 foot 4 inches. So actually for such crudely painted lines that's probably pretty darn close, and it's certainly close enough. Now I have got a little bit of a slope here. I slope maybe down a foot from there to here, so it's not going to be perfectly accurate, but again, for batter boards, they're going to be a couple feet long, so if I'm within 6 inches even, I'm close enough. So anyway, I'll go ahead and paint a line that would be an intersection that will be an inch outside on each end, so that's the alignment for my batter board on that side. And that has it for that side. Those should be about 19 foot 6 inches apart. So my batter boards, I want them to be outside my digging area, but the closer the better really. So I think I'll go ahead and set stakes for batter boards about 3 feet back here and about 3 feet back there. Now on that side, because of the slope, I wanted to get into original ground, so all of those piers are about 5 feet tall. These really only need to be about 2 feet, so I'm not going to be digging very deep, so I'm pretty sure that 3 feet should be sufficiently back. Now if I were using batter boards to lay pipe that needed to be laid to grade, it would be imperative that these batter boards are laid level. In this case, it's certainly not imperative, but there is a reason that it could be helpful. And that is, instead of having a laser set up constantly, if these are level, I can go ahead and shoot grade on the top of these boards and use that as a reference as to how high these piers need to be put in. And with a 4 foot level, I can level from this over to where the pier sits and know the height that it needs to be without having to set up a laser again. So I'm going to go ahead and take the extra couple minutes that it does to make these batter boards level. I'll start out with what I know is the high side. It's laying pretty darn close to level right where it is. So So I'll raise it just slightly and go ahead and stick a screw in here. Okay, so the batter boards are set and level, and they are going to be pretty darn close, so my center line will come in right about here and hopefully near the middle of that one. So now what we will want to do is to come in and create spots there in the ground that are precisely where they should be. Then I can take and stretch a string line across from the center of the front column over there, across the top of where that one is going to be, make a mark on this, and I'll know where the pier goes this direction, do the same thing over there. And then when I did the barn, I set up batter boards in both directions because I had so many intersections. Here I've only got 2 of them. I'm not digging very deep. So what I will do is that I will measure from that column over to and put a nail in the top of this that I'll be able to stretch a string line between. But what that will allow me to do is to be able to measure from this nail right to the center of that column, and that's after I get things dug out to make my layout for the concrete work to be really, really easy and fast. Honestly, with grades being shot on these and points being set, I won't even need to set up a level or a laser again. I can do everything off of batter boards. All right, I have laid this board and made a point on it that is exactly the 19 foot 5 5/8 inches from the center of that column and 27 foot 6 3/8, I think it was, from over there. Anyway, and I've stretched a string line across here from the center of that column. And using a Prom Bob, I'm right on the money now, so I can make a mark on this batter board and have the alignment correct. So the next time after I'm finished digging and ready to lay out exactly where that pier goes, all I have to do is to set up this string line, make sure I'm plumb down from that, and take a measurement either from that column, or I'll go ahead and set a point on this. In fact, I'll just go ahead and mark it right now. And then I can measure from this one, that 19.47 inches. And I know I have 1947 to there, and I have 22 foot 9 7/8, so that would be 22.82 feet. So I'll take 22.82, subtract from that 19.47, and come up with 3.35 feet. So 3 foot. I won't be working in tenths and hundredths when I measure from that and actually do the layout from this. So that would be 3 foot 4 1/4 inches. So this is a 3 foot, let me mark it here so the rain doesn't wash it off, 3 foot 4 1/4 inch offset. And let me just to double check, see if that's about right. And it is. So now I'm ready to lay out the one over there. All right, that laser of mine, I've said in another edition that it's an old timer. It really is, but another one of those things that if it works, I'll just keep using it. I ended up with a nice level barn out of it, nice level living space. So let's go and shoot grade on the 2 batter boards using the existing columns as a benchmark. First, check to make sure the laser is level. And it is. And my handy dandy ruler here actually has hundredths of a foot on one side of it. And we are at 336. $339. And 341. So we'll shoot for 338. And here we have $277. So 3.38 minus 2.77 is 61 hundredths. And since our reading is less than it was there, that means that this has to go down, or the column needs to be 61 hundredths of a foot below that. Now, to show you that I'm not some sort of idiot, (61 hundredths) on the rule should be 7 3/8 inches, and it is 7 3/8 inches. So I need here minus 7 3/8 inches to the top of that column. So here we have 376, 338. I should be able to do that in my head. 338 hundredths, I think. So 3.76 minus 3.38 equals, 38 hundredths. So this one being more of a reading than what the columns are means this one has to go up. So this one will be a plus 38 hundredths, which is 4 5/8 inches. And that takes care of everything. We can now do everything that's left here just off of the batter boards and a simple 4-foot level. That's nice. Now just hoping that I don't disturb these or touch them or have a great big rock that ends up moving them or something like that. Should be in good shape to be able to pour these two. That has everything laid out. I am ready to dig, ready to pour some concrete just as soon as the weatherman promises me that I have some good dry weather for a little while. Thanks for being with me. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.